Welcome to another adventure of the Spawn Club. Silly Gooses only.
Asian food!
Always Asian food.
I feel like maybe I'm the one that's doing this, but I'm chasing ramen like I'm chasing a leprechaun to the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, I don't know. I always want ramen and different Asian foods.
Yeah, just specifically with ramen, I feel like I'm chasing one bowl of ramen I've had in my entire life, and I'll be chasing it for the rest of my days.
Yeah. I don't usually think there's a huge difference. It depends on the broth, but...
Okay, big deal.
Yeah.
But we had some Asian, checked into a hotel. How did that work? What did we do? We checked into a hotel so that we could stay parking. So we've done this thing recently where we figured out if you get a hotel booked, park the car. If you got to leave early in the morning and come home late, it's actually much cheaper to have shuttle. So.
And then we're off to the races.
Yep, we flew into Cancun, which is just about 4 hours. We flew out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Philip's sister and brother-in-law flew in from Des Moines.
So we got our car to pick us up and...
Cold beer in the car.
Cold beer in the car for the birthday boy, Joe. Or kind of the birthday boy. What was his birthday trip?
Half birthday.
Half birthday. Got some entertainment on the way to the cruise ship ferry
port. Yep. So we flew into Cancun, and the destination was Isla. I get mixed up. This is white girl problems.
We've heard both
Sorry.
things. Isla or Isla?
Isla Mujeres. So you ferry to the island, and of course Cancun is 30 minutes or so?
20 to 30 minutes.
Yep, from the airport to the ferry port. So the 20-minute ferry ride was actually a really fun way to kind of get in the mood for an island vacation.
Yeah, I think it woke everybody up because their flights were...
We were all leaving hella early.
Yeah, it was pretty early, and they had a whole rigmarole to get there, so it woke everybody up, and then we got find the exciting golf cart situation.
Yeah, so Isla is mostly very small taxi cars, scooters, mopeds, or golf carts. A lot of the tourists opt for golf carts just because of how many passengers and, feasibility and safety-wise. So it's just covered in golf carts.
Yep, and driving Miss Daisy has ensued.
Yeah. So we got some really good recommendations. It was still a little hard for us to find it, but got some really great recommendations from our accommodation host through Airbnb on where to get the golf cart. What else? He gave us some other good recommendations too.
Food, all sorts of things.
Yeah. So
I would say just don't get the golf cart right when you get there.
Yeah, walk
Go
a
little
ways.
further in.
Walk a ways.
It sounds like you get a little lost. Everything starts to look the same, but walk a little ways, find some other people. Talk to some other people, and ours ended up working out really nicely.
So our condo was 3 stories?
Yep, 3 stories.
So first floor, and each story had a balcony.
Yep.
Which was very cool.
Overlooking
and
the
then
ocean.
we had access to the very rooftop balcony also. So it was very cool.
Nice spaces.
Yeah, very nice shared expense also, so that was cool. But yeah, this is the master bedroom and bathroom suite. Of course, a balcony. And then we were on the main floor, and we had a very large balcony as well, kind of in the more shared space.
Yep. Yeah, I thought the living room was a nice space. The upstairs was really nice to be able to go out. We only went up there a couple different times, mainly because it was a lot of stairs.
Yeah.
And we already walked up a lot of stairs to get to the place. But at night it was really cool to be out there, and I think a lot of us just sat in the living room and out on the deck a lot of the time when we were kind of zoning and relaxing, and it was really awesome to just be able to look out over the ocean. So I thought the accommodations were great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Much cooler than outside. It was just this weird... It'd be like walking into a freezer in the back of a restaurant.
Yeah, from being out in a sauna, my glasses would fog up and they'd just be wet from being outside. And really great. The host was awesome. He ensured that we had bottled water, like the big jugs of 5 gallons water bottles delivered right to the door. So it wasn't like we had to carry them up the steps and put right in the machine. And really great accommodations, and like you said, it was awesome just being able to look outside at that view. So we were facing basically the Mexican coast.
Yep.
So we were on the inside, on the, that would be what, the west side of the island?
The west side. Yep.
So we didn't have the big, huge, crazy waves that the east side of
nice and calm.
Yep. Yeah, it was just awesome to look at. And then, of course, we went and had tacos right when we got there, and that place was within walking distance, just like 3 doors down, basically, and then had to go check out the beach right away just to see what it was about when we got there.
Yep. Yeah, I think all 4 of us, my sister, brother-in-law, Katie and Joe, also wanted to get there, so it was nice. And again, I thought taking the golf cart was super easy. I mean, we weren't close to everything, which I thought was a major benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, I drove, I think, most of the time, and I think some people were like, oh, well, if we were right there, it would have been better. But honestly, I don't think they would have shared that same viewpoint if we would have been in the downtown at night all the time trying to sleep.
So much traffic and noise, and I think the accommodations are just much different. So on the end of the island, the other end of the island than where the port is.
That's getting some Cubans. Yeah, had to get some Cubans.
It was really windy up on top. But yeah, it was nice being kind of on the end, and it was maybe a 15-minute golf cart ride.
Yeah, it was pretty simple.
And Cheddar's, the grocery store, was only maybe 7 minutes, so it was kind of halfway.
Yeah, it was like halfway.
So I mean, and we had restaurants right next to us, so it wasn't like we had nothing.
We weren't out in the boonies.
Right down in front of us, we'll be able to later in the video we go there, but there was a
beach club and a snorkeling place. Yep.
Right in front of us that we probably would have ended up going to even if we weren't on this part of the island. Yep. Like it probably would have been the destination to go to anyways. So yeah, it worked out perfect. I think our location was prime. So the next day we did a little bit more exploring. We went, even though we were kind of on the end of the island, we went all the way to the end of the island, which is Punta Sur. So they have like a park and...
They have old ruins for the former inhabitants, the different gods, like Isla Mujeres, who it's named after, stuff like that. Yep. So it was a really nice viewpoint. You got to see both sides of the island kind of jutting out.
Big waves.
Just beautiful waves and beautiful water. So it was a really nice walk.
Yeah, it was. We watched a couple other videos before we went, and people were like, "We didn't pay to go, and we don't think we missed out on anything." It was $6, and this was.
It was really nice.
Really cool.
I would definitely spend the time, and you can spend as much time as you want there and walk around and get as close to the water as possible. I probably got a little closer than most people sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a gorgeous area. I would definitely not.
Skip it.
Skip it when it's, you know, if it was like $35, maybe, but like $6 a person, it was pretty simple to go there.
Beautiful spot. And we actually found a little area with sand, like a little cove that we just sat on the sand for 10, 15 minutes or so to cool off because it was, again,
yeah. And there's like schools of fish swimming around, little like whirlpools that were forming because of how the waves interacted. It was just a really unique kind of place to go to that honestly I don't believe any of the rest of the island was even close to like. I mean there was like one other spot on like what would have been the east side where the waves are, but it's nothing close to this.
Yeah, this just seemed very, very cool, very different. It was worth the hike. It was a nice walk too. It wasn't too.
And the views are just gorgeous. I mean, views from everywhere, wherever we were at in the island, especially when we were staying at the place we were. And that's the goddess that it's named after. And yep, as you can see, tits out. But yeah, I mean, it was just a little gorgeous area. So I would highly recommend that place. It was within walking distance of where we stayed too, because that was another nice thing about being on that point of the island.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very cool. It was a cool way to kind of set up the rest of the trip, just to be able to see that, to see more of the island before we even, kind of started hunkering into.
Yeah, because the rest of the island is highly commercialized. Yeah. So, I mean, this is like really the only spot you kind of get away from that.
Either commercial or like people are living here and.
Yes. Yep. And there is a small residential and naval base on the island, which is kind of in the middle. which has a military presence to it. But this is like if you're getting out looking for like a nature walk with some beautiful waves away from hordes of people, this is the spot.
Yeah, and just beautiful. It was fantastic. So we sat on the sand to cool off, and then he did too.
Yeah.
Because it was
digging in.
It was really hot, and the sand was nice and cool and a little damp, so it was pretty cool. So then we hung out back again. There's just a lot of cooling off that we did.
Yeah, I think this is when we were kind of looking into the rest of the parts of the island, deciding when we want to do stuff, figuring out the lay of the land a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, we would not generally, for the safety of folks, little white crackers like us, that are not physically set up for hot, humid temperatures, not to recommend going in the middle of summer to Mexican islands.
Yeah, it was pretty warm.
Yeah,
it's made the water very nice.
Yep, it got a little rough, I think, for me a couple different times, where I was like, there's no amount of hydration that can cool me off. But then I think the other pickle is you get used to having the condo set to, 68 degrees with the AC, so then you're jumping, basically 40 degrees, and it's just a lot of wear and tear in your body, so just be careful.
The water feels great, though. I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, at any point, I think the water was just we probably could have spent more time in the water. We spent a decent amount of time in the water, but yeah I think the little clubs they have in and around the island, whether you're in the busy part of the island or the more laid back part of the island, you can't really go wrong, in my opinion. We did kind of both, ended up doing both. This one had its own perks of being a little more secluded, though still a lot of people there. Doesn't show it now, but when you get down to the beach, where the chairs are and where everybody's snorkeling and hanging out, there's not as much room, but great snorkeling. Just both areas, I thought it was really cool to just be amongst the fish, and you don't have to, it's not snorkeling like you're going somewhere, you're taking a bunch of time, you're going far off the coast. If you're a very timid snorkeler and you just want to stay near the beach, you're going to be perfect anywhere you go.
You're in waist deep water, you bend over and you can see fish. It's pretty nice.
You can go as deep as you want. Honestly, I went pretty deep out here and there was a lot less fish. So little cooler things to see, but most of the fish, because they know in certain areas people feed them and things like that, definitely stay around the area. And we kind of tried to look at all the different fish that we were seeing during the different time periods. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah. And shout out to our new masks. We got new snorkeling masks. These are the style, I guess I don't really know what they're called. Full face mask?
Yeah, it's the full face mask where the tube comes out of the top. So you're basically within, it's not attached to your lips. It's your full face. So I think I don't remember exactly what they're called, but they're kind of the newer.
It took a little bit of a learning curve for us, I think, and I think we were both skeptical on whether or not we were actually going to like them or we were going to say screw it and just rent.
It's very rebreather, so like it's a different situation than just a normal snorkel.
Yeah, it's very nice. You don't have anything in your mouth, so the face mask just goes around like a dusk mask would almost go around your nose and your mouth. So you don't have, you're not shoving some plastic thing in your mouth and then you have a bunch of salt water around your mouth. It's like covering you fully. I don't know. I think I liked it because the view was a little more. You get more wide.
Of a 180 view than a 90 view, basically. I guess is what I would call the other one.
Yeah.
But it was just. Very clear water, even when there's a ton of people around you moving and they, the silt
the sand,
moves up. But I thought, it was just great to be right next to the fish. And it's super hot out, so you're like, let's be under the water. This sounds great.
Yeah, and people were, like you said, feeding fish. There were, like at this place, I think they did have little bags of fish food, but people were just feeding them Cheetos and shit too.
Yeah. That wasn't as great.
Which we did not.
Less feeding here than at the other place we'll show you later. But this place was nice. There was another side that was even more I wouldn't say exclusive, but a little harder to get to. But I think there's a lot of sea urchins there, so that's one thing to watch out for when you do snorkel. We actually had a boy when we were getting food later on who had stepped on a sea urchin. It is not fun. It's either that or the jellyfish situation. Either one of them, you don't want that in your life. But yeah, the food I thought was really nice.
Yeah, I think the regret that I had here was not having my water shoes with, because the beach was not sandy, it was just rocks and shells. So a lot of those places, dependent on, even though it's a beach, they might not have any like sand. There might be a ton of rock and shells. So
there's always rock. I mean, honestly, in most situations, there's usually rocks.
Bring your beach shoes.
And then they had a little mascot who was just wandering around looking for chippies.
he was pretty big. They just kept getting bigger, I feel like, as the trip went on. Very big. Yep. So then we got gussied up and went kind of exploring in their market area in more of the old town. Of course, you had to get a little coconut water. And watch the guy almost hack his damn fingers off. I'm like, tuck the thumb. It was just very casual the way he was hacking. It made me very nervous.
$1 coconut.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a little exploring downtown. I think we all wanted to try out. Did we end up even eating? We might have ended up eating down here, but But Joe and Katie definitely wanted to see the downtown area. So we kind of explored as much as we could on both sides of that island, and then ended up, I think, at the night at this Coco snack bar, which was just a nice chill place, which is kind of by where we came in.
So this was appetizers, so we weren't quite ready to eat, but I think we got real screwed up with like, what are we having for lunch, that sort of thing. Because again, when you're that hot, it's like you're kind of pushing around when you're eating. So we had an appetizer here, and then we did go out to a fancy place later, which you'll see. But this was really crazy. I think you guys had maybe gone to the bathroom, and Joe and I watched the ferry passed like literally right next to where people were swimming.
Yep, let's see the party boy action. Whoa, 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 hey, 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 ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ooh, ooh, beat.
And then here is where I totally forgot about this place.
Yeah, get hyped up.
I totally forgot about very, very unique place.
Katie will never
Very
forget.
hilarious situation involved with, what was it, a duck? Kevin? Was it a duck?
Yeah, Kevin's the duck. There's Kevin, me taking a selfie with Kevin.
And my sister is not a fan.
You would say Kevin's name, and he would wag his tail and come close, like, go ahead and feed me.
He was like,
of your sushi.
just a dog. He obviously just hangs out there and eats, and this is kind of in the foresty era of the island. I thought the decor was really cool. I would say he was a little pushy. I mean, it was like kind of cute to an expense because he just like knew how to push it. But yeah, the food was great.
I think this was the night when we all got just chewed alive by mosquitoes.
Yeah, I think so.
At that place, they had like all of a sudden they got foggers going. They're handing out off spray to each table that's eating, which having off sprayed around your food is like chewing on tinfoil. Like it was a little rough. And then later we discovered that we had all gotten pretty bit up by some mosquitoes. So.
And now on to the day to see Machu Picchu. Nah, I'm joking. It's Chichen Itza. Machu Picchu would have been a little cooler. Chichen Itza.
Chicken pizza.
Was hot as hell.
Yeah.
But it's like I reminded everybody, we're going to see one of the wonders of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was magical in that sense. It was just a very long day. We had to wake up very early to get onto the ferry, to get onto our bus, to take around 3-4 hour trip into where Chichen Itza is, or as we called it, Chicken Pizza, some people in the group. We had a great guide. He brought the energy. We saw some cool things.
Yeah. Stopped at a few different like shops and things on the way, which was cool. We got some bracelets. What's the
Obsidian?
Obsidian. We got some obsidian bracelets.
So obsidian
here.
in the Yucatan was kind of like, as valuable as gold. It was kind of the wealth of the group there. So the Mayans, and this is all Mayans. The crazy part about this whole situation is like, this is one of the most world-renowned areas. The tower is known by everybody. Chichen Itza is actually the site itself. As she's noting, the humidity and degrees were very hot. Everybody, you could tell, like, they were handing out umbrellas, and everybody's like, "Why are we getting an umbrella?" But
wish I would have gotten one.
But seeing the temple was great.
Yeah.
I think, when you even driving by the forest and stuff, like, you can see how like 90% of these archaeological finds have not been found because they're all just covered by trees and buried. It would be wild just to see the landscape without those trees. But man, it was great. It was really cool being there. It's definitely one that's been on my list for a long time. That's why I joke about Machu Picchu, because I really want to see Machu Picchu as well, which will be a bigger hike, but a lot cooler out. But yeah, it was great. I think everybody was a little hot, but we got some amazing pictures.
Some of us a little hot.
Yeah, Holly definitely was on the struggle bus, which, to be honest, it was a big day for, I think, anybody and everybody on the trip. Like, it was just, there's not a lot of cover in the open areas once they take away the trees. Like, it gets
You're just
scald, like the sun hits and it's already hot. But I thought the experience itself was great. We had one of the tour guides, I think, that overshared probably a little bit, which when you're standing in the temperatures we're standing in, it was kind of like, okay, we're gonna walk off and kind of do our own thing for a little bit. Like, situation. I've watched a lot of videos and things, and you can find tons of awesome videos on the Mayans and Chichen Itza and stuff like that. After a certain point, it's like telling us that you can clap and all those things. It's okay. But we ended up getting some refreshments, and I thought that was good.
Yep. So this was like back at the entrance, and like I noted some of the prices on the screen. Otherwise, I'll have them on the complete like breakdown, so you kind of know what's included and what we had to pay for outside of the planned tour. But yeah, so again, there were so many things on this just literal day trip that by the time we got to lunch, which was here at the cenote place, you're already kind of clinging to life a little bit.
You're a little tired. The cenote was really cool.
Oh my god.
The stairs were, I am not a see-through step stair person. I have a little titch of vertigo, and my god, I would rather rappel down on a rope than trust these different stairs.
These stairs were straight down and very narrow, and like
one-way traffic, even though it's not one-way traffic. But it was beautiful. It was great. I thought the experience down there was really cool, especially looking up and seeing, and there's cenotes. What is there, like 50,000+ cenotes over there? I mean, we had our choice. This was the one they chose for the certain trip, as you'll see some of the other things. And
we looked at a bunch of other cenotes so that we could kind of make a, definitive decision
which
on
one we thought
was
best.
Yeah. So I think we booked through Viator.
Yep.
And so you can
see how deep we are. A lot of them are a lot easier to get down into. Some of them are bigger. This one was pretty tall, which I thought was amazing.
Some you don't need to crawl down in like this.
Besides the stairs, but yeah, it was definitely worth it. Did the whole spiel. Got in the water, and there's just fishies that are they're used to people being down there, and they're
real close and friendly.
Yep.
So these reminded me, and I'm of course not going to remember the name, but we used to have one in our fish tank at the studio, and we called him Rusty, and he was like a bottom feeder kind of sucker thing. They look just like them, but I looked it up, and they're literally just like catfish and bullheads. Like they're just...
They do kind of suck on you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there were a ton of turtles. What was the other thing? There was some frogs.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of
and
what
it
else
goes pretty deep, and you can go back into certain areas. And a lot of these cenotes go hundreds of feet down in the water. A lot of people dive the cenotes and stuff too.
Yeah.
We did not do that in this experience. I think the craziest was getting down in there, and then I think I jumped off a platform at some point. That a lot of people did. But yeah, I thought it was so cool. Felt so good. But again, at that point, I think we were all pretty tired.
Very tired.
But pushing through, because there's still a lot of trip left. Still had Valladolid, and still had to drive home, and still had the ferry after that. So definitely one of those situations that, I always advocate for controlling your own situation. This was probably a better situation to do it with a tour.
Yeah,
but it can be a very, very long day if you're coming from an island.
Yeah.
Off the coast of Cancun versus if you're already in Cancun, leaving from a certain place. And if you partner it with cenotes and Valladolid.
Yeah. I don't think we would have wanted to drive. I think we would have skipped the first place, and Valladolid, I think we would have skipped probably both of those.
Yeah, I think if we would have drove,
done an overnight
we would have
or
stayed.
something.
We would have stayed somewhere. So.
Yeah.
But beautiful place. I wouldn't rate the food super highly, but at that point, honestly, just eating, I think was.
We were just looking for sustenance.
There's me jumping in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think.
You're so hot. You're just trying to keep hydrated is really the main thing.
But I mean, really fun, really nice area. Was this Chican or something like that? I think was the one.
We have the sign right at the end of these clips.
But I think it was like maybe 20 minutes away from where we were at. Wasn't it? Because there was a couple different cenotes you could go to.
Yeah, I don't think it was very far.
No, it was one of the closer ones. So, again, Viator kind of has its own packages that decide which ones you go to. So you kind of have to search. And now on to Valladolid.
Yeah, this I did not need. It was beautiful. It's not that I wouldn't have stopped on a different day, but as
we
you
were
could see
only
that
there
day,
for like less than an hour, I think, and it was only to take shots at this one place, which is pretty funny.
Let's take a moment for Katie's face. So at this point, he's having them repeat things in Spanish, and they're doing a cheers, and she keeps thinking it's gonna be over, and then it just
never stops.
Just kind of.
And then wait for the shot. Wait for it.
Gonna give it a little test.
Wait for it. Yeah, did not need that.
Nope.
Pretty much worth the stop at Valladolid for that. I think Joe enjoyed it. So then hours back, after that, and honestly, the buses had AC for kind of the way there.
Yep.
Not so much by the time way back. And then onto the cruise, and we just kept the night going. I think by that point we were past exhaustion, and
we needed some food.
We went to go get some food.
I think one of the only places that was open, and we grabbed, just pizza. About everything on their menu.
They had like lobster and shrimp pizza and stuff like that. And then we found some kitties.
Yep. Next morning we took it easy. We had some kitties close by.
Yeah, was this the day they went to the whale sharks?
Yep. So Katie and Joe went and visited some whale sharks, and we kind of just took it easy.
Yeah, we were a little taxed. I wasn't feeling super awesome. I think I was just super dehydrated, and we just decided we were going to chill for a day, and had some big breakfasts across the street, and the place really across the street was a really nice gem. Cool. I mean, it was, and they had like a animal farm kind of attached to it. That's why all these random animals are coming. But yeah,
we brought the
microphone. Yeah,
karaoke microphone with you
for the whole trip.
Yep,
for every piece of it. Carts in the house. That's how we woke everybody up most days.
Yeah, it was good.
The pool was really, really nice. It was just nice to be able to relax and look out onto the ocean. Not a ton of people at our place, so pretty much your own private pool most of the time when you want it to be.
Yeah, I don't think there was a couple times where there were people there, but we weren't like at that point hungry to go out, so it was like kind of perfect. Like every time we wanted to be in the pool, nobody was in there.
Yeah, and I think this is off season for them.
Oh, for sure.
Like this is off season because it's so hot. So like other places with off season, they're redoing a lot of places next to you, so you're not as cramped and there's a lot less people.
Yeah.
We always kind of side on the off-season piece. I think it just depends on what kind of weather, are you a fair weather person or not?
European.
Yeah, we like cooler off season. So if you really enjoy the heat, which I think Joe is the one on our little team that likes the heat and takes the heat.
Yeah.
Definitely go. You'll save some money. You'll be in your own little private place, but not a European off season, no.
Yeah, so this place was called The Joint. It was just up from our, of course, there's a lot of dog footage. It's just up from our condo. So they had a lot of live music and stuff going on all the time. And
for most nights, besides the one night we wanted to go, besides Joe's kind of birthday night, which we ended up still finding a place. But yeah, that one night, it was the one night that whatever reason you could hear them till like 1 a.m. every night. And then that night they're like, nah, we're done. Mm-hmm. We went a little off-roading. I think I had talked about there being some place down.
We were looking for a public beach. So a lot of the beach areas you had to pay, a few dollars to get in, or more than a few dollars to get in. We were just kind of looking for like, what's the local access near us for beach. And I mean, obviously you can see there's a little bit of difference with public access.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're not getting, going through a beach club, it's definitely, not developed.
Yeah.
So we kind of went around, but there was this cool little area with a swing and stuff like that down here. Whether it was the one I had heard about, not quite sure.
Yeah. The amount of sea urchins, like under and near the rocks, just like literally right under where Joe is, and just like all over was kind of crazy. So, again, just to make note, like it's easy for you to go like, I'm on vacation, let's get in the water, but just be mindful of like what is in the water, because you think, oh, look at all these people here, it's fine.
Yep.
And then you get standing on a sea urchin or stung by a jellyfish or, whatever the deal is. So
then we kind of relaxed in the pool. And Katie, this is the same day Katie and Joe did go to the whale sharks. I know they really enjoyed it. I would say if you were at all a little seasick or not feeling well, there's smaller boats. You're going to get tossed around. I know Katie dealt with it a little bit. I know a lot of people do. So just be mindful of that. You can watch videos if you just stream the whale sharking in Isla Mujeres.
It's
one of
destination.
It's one of their main spots. You'll see how the situation works, but they really enjoyed it. I think they would definitely do it again.
This was the moment of disappointment that
the bar was just closed for whatever reason. We were just kind of sitting there. Then this is where we ended up going. We found this place,
the Mayan Monkey, which is just down from us again.
We were about to give up, and I was like, "Oh, let's just give one another try." Which was, it was a very interesting place.
Yeah. Nobody was out. It was just very interesting, like, what nights people were out, what nights people weren't. Again, being off-season, I think that it's just a different vibe. Like, this in February, I'm sure is just banging.
This place would be crazy.
Like, they're obviously set up for that, like, with how many tables and chairs and the way the place is set up. There's a puppy, again. Day 5 of the puppy.
We have puppies.
So we ended up getting coffee from here a couple mornings, and this was the first place that we got tacos from, and some other really great meals. We enjoyed that place as well.
And then a lot of divers you could watch off the coast. They were diving for
conch shells,
starfishes. Just pretty interesting to just watch the different fishermen and divers in different areas and see what they were doing during all sorts of weather, which is about to come up. But very, very cool and very unique career for sure.
Yeah. So this was us just taking a little tootle around the other side of the island. So this is the east side of the island. So this is where obviously more prevalent waves, because there's a whole bunch of open ocean out there. And then this appeared to be a lot more like newer residential development.
Yeah.
So a lot of just really big houses or condos, but it seemed like more like single family, vacation home type things.
And an amusement park or a circus
some
or
sort of fair.
Whatever you want to call it. It was kind of randomly in the middle of
scary fair.
Nowhere. I'm sure very seasonal. But yeah, I thought it was still a nice part of the island. Definitely would have been a little bit of different atmosphere off the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was really nice being able to we could see Cancun at night and, see the lights and kind of see what was going on. And it was nice to have a vantage point as well to see when weather came in, like what was going on over Cancun.
Yeah, I would definitely say be on the inlet side.
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's cool to see the ocean, but it was just so calming versus this. I'm sure just on a deck is you get pretty windblown, so you wouldn't be outside as much. And here it is. Wasn't open.
Yeah, we tried to look a little bit to see if it had recently been open. I just didn't really find any information. I mean, it looked like people were living there in campers, but that doesn't really mean that the rides are ever open. So
yeah, and I think residential, there's what was it, 3,000 to 5,000 people,
I can't remember.
I guess, on the island. Again, in the middle of the island, is a lot of housing. I think it would surprise you if you drove around the island, especially if you do that in a golf cart and not a lot of time.
Yeah.
How many people may or may not live on the island, from what they say. But I think everybody there was super nice. Just a really cool atmosphere.
In the morning when we went to go do our tour and we got on the first ferry, there were a mountain of people coming from mainland to come work, like the hotels and restaurants and stuff. So there was a lot of influx of servers and
transient workers, not transient, but living on the island. And this was the other club that we went to do some snorkeling.
The Guru.
I thought it was really great. I think
cool.
Joe and Katie liked this one probably more than the other one.
Yeah, very cool. So it was kind of like a flat fee, like a minimum spend.
Which was not a lot.
Super easy.
I mean, honestly, I thought when we started talking about it, I was like, oh, it might be pretty expensive, but it was pretty cheap. I mean, we didn't even order that much food, and that paid for pretty much
our access.
Yeah, so right next to a lot of the big hotels. This is right off the downtown, so little bit, well, not right off the downtown. It's still a little bit away from the downtown north, but definitely a very beautiful area to snorkel and loads of fish.
Yeah, I think having that, there was a crazy wooden bridge that went across to a resort, the Pink Resort. Having that bridge, I think, gave just a huge, kind of area for the fish to
It was like a faux habitat for them. There was a reef not too far north of here too that you couldn't really get into. You could kind of swim up to, but then afterwards you'd be kind of trying to swim on reef. I think the water level
was aggressive too.
The water levels kind of change, and it was a little aggressive over there because you're getting towards the north part of the island, which starts getting towards the ocean. But yeah, I mean, anywhere you dove, you pretty much ran into fish. If you went over to the dock, you'd find a much wider variety that you kind of have to hang on because the water was kind of, it pushes you in and out. So a lot of the video, I think I took a lot of the snorkeling video, was kind of like me holding on to a post or a bridge and just kind of riding the waves, just trying to see different fish. We had a little fish chart that we brought with, so we were trying to kind of spot different fishies when we were down in the water. Camera probably doesn't do it justice. A lot clearer than the camera when you're down in there seeing it yourself, but still really cool. It
was just a lot of I don't think it was murky. It was just dark under the bridge, and then there was just a ton of sand being stirred up with how wavy it was. The currents were pretty strong, so it's as you can see, it almost looks like glitter on the screen because it's
and you don't see it, but I am holding myself from either being pushed under the bridge or pushed away from the bridge in most so I thought it was maybe even more erratic than this. I think my camera stuff underwater can just be erratic. But as Holly has noted, I like to kind of. But it was you'd get there and if you didn't hold on, you'd just get thrown either which way. So I kind of took over for the camera stuff and just got as much as we could. But yeah, it was really fun. I mean, we could have spent, I think Joe and Katie said we could have done that every day there, and I agree. I mean, I think if you can find a really cool sport, and we found some pretty fun named fish that I spotted, but if you can find a really cool snorkeling spot, especially in areas like this. I think that was, besides chicken pizza, aka Chichen Itza, that was what we were most looking forward to, and it was really great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But yeah, just, as many fish as you want. There were some groups getting bags. They stayed a little closer to the beach, throwing things out. If you do that, you are just going to have... Like this.
Yep,
just swarms of fish coming after you.
And these are pretty big fish. I don't know if you can really get the vantage point, but, all of these were probably, 6 to 10 inches.
Yeah, 2 hand sizes, basically, so...
So they're,
none of them were super aggressive, but yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all. I didn't feel, some people are like, oh, touch my leg. They were never that close, but they would swim right around you. But those were these silver ones were kind of the most popular, because these were even at that Garifin place in front of our condo, and they must be, like the Isla Mujeres bluegill. It's just all over the place, but we really did see a ton of different types of fish under the bridge, and I do try to note them that we can kind of point them out. But
and again, this is very, very low-key snorkeling. There are a ton
we're standing.
There's a couple, you're standing or you're barely swimming in 4 feet of water. There's a ton of other experiences where you can do some larger snorkeling with a bunch of statues and stuff that they put in the water, or bigger areas for fish, which can mean, there were some areas with sharks, sea turtles, stuff like that. The turtle part of the island had a bit of a snafu, or I don't know what was going on, so that was closed. Otherwise, guaranteed we would have went to that, because we all love sea turtles and stuff like that. But there was some environmental things, for whatever reason, that had shut that down.
Yeah, it was like a turtle sanctuary that they had kind of screwed up and had put it on private land, and it wasn't theirs, and they thought it was public, and so they had shut it down. I hope it reopens, because
if it reopens, I would suggest going to that.
It does
that sounds
really
great.
Seem like a cool place.
But plenty of cool fish still to see. If you've never been snorkeling, I think you'd be pretty happy about just that situation, because then you can go in and then go out, go get some food, hang by the beach.
Yeah.
You could be there all day. I think you'd be perfectly happy. I think we spent, I don't even know, 2-3 hours.
The storm started coming in, because, you think, I've had experiences where you do some sort of tour guide thing where they have a boat and they drop you off, and it's this, I'm not saying that they're not cooler fish or it's a cooler experience, but you're paying to be snorkeling, so get in the water, whether or not you feel like it, whether or not you want to be in this minute or not. And this was I got back in the water probably 6 times.
Yeah, it's choose your own adventure rather than a forced situation, which the forced situations I've done and have been in, and you can see really cool things, but it's also you are not on your own timeline.
Yeah. Make it
and
work.
You don't get that much time to do it. So, I think it's just a kind of lax environment, especially for lay people who aren't big snorkelers, because I know most people are not.
Yeah.
It was just cool, and even if you didn't even buy a mask, you could still get in the water and open your eyes and see fish.
I think that was what was so surprising, is I don't even know if 20% of the people, not even 10% of the people in the water had masks.
Us and a couple other people had masks. That was pretty much it.
And you could see the fish.
Regardless.
Not with your head in the water. You could see the fish, but this, they wouldn't be able to see. There's another slippery dick.
Another slippery dick. It was cool. I was always trying to find, I was down there I was in there for a while, just trying to find all the different kinds of fish. I think I spotted 13 that day, just in that area. It's just kind of cool just to hang out and chill around them. But
these ones I think were my favorite. It was a little more difficult to see. I did have to do some adjustment to how the coloring shows up, the filtering, because it's either really blue-green or it's very pink.
Yeah, the light reflection on the water makes the video a little harder. But when you're in there, you see them clear as day. It's not, nothing's really like this.
But those are my favorite, those ones with it's they have eyeliner on their, I don't know, on their tails. They just look kind of cool. But yeah, I think it was a very, I don't know, like you said, low key. I think this is the perfect. We have no idea what this place is like in February. I assume it's a completely different experience.
This beach, I'm assuming, is a madhouse. I mean, I know the North Park gets pretty wild.
It was busy, so they had pools, and they had like a bunch of different little pools in the resort area outside, and they were full. I mean, it was the beach area was not full, but the pool area up, like people, getting drinks.
And then the weather started to turn.
Yeah, then you can kind of see the clouds over there. Things started rolling in. We knew it was gonna, we were gonna get rain, and that was kind of why we wanted to like make sure we were watching things, because now we're on the exact opposite end of the island.
Yep.
From where our condo is, and it didn't come fast. It came like lickety split.
Yeah.
Look at all these people like, we gotta get up.
It's like if you just like if you went through a car wash and you forgot to roll your windows up.
In sunroof. It is pouring.
I'm just in
and
there.
We're not even out of town yet. We're not even.
I don't think you're gonna see it in the video, but like it was just like, oh man, I was just like, all right, I can telling everybody I could see, but I really couldn't see, and just like we're gonna get there. So then we just kind of, I think this is the last day and a half. We just kind of watched the storm come in. This is right before a major hurricane came into the area.
Yeah.
So we got pretty lucky
not even 6 days, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it was literally less than a week later.
Yeah, because there was a couple, like there was people that were going out a couple days later that were worried about getting their flights out. So we pretty much picked the perfect time to be hidden. And it was nice to just relax. And I mean, honestly, like, don't get me wrong, like, oh, you missed it because of the storm, but seeing the storm kind of roll in and everything was really cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Sure, not for people who live there, but...
Yeah, I think that was what was so crazy is, so we fast forward, there was a hurricane not even a week later, and as you can see, you couldn't even see the mainland from the condo, and we lost power.
And did we take Joe and Katie? Yep. Joe and Katie to the airport today.
Yep. And it's like, I mean, we couldn't really see what was going on. We lost power like 3 or 4 times. Like, that's just a rainstorm.
Yeah.
So
it was. I mean, and it was. You could feel it. You could feel it. Yeah, we were definitely concerned because you lose power just from little tiny
just
storms.
A rainstorm.
So, not that it didn't come back on.
Yeah.
But.
Yep. You can see the difference in the waves. That obviously it was a little more aggressive.
Is this the last day? Are we taking
water.
off?
Yep. So that last whole day, we just kind of hung out, chilled. It was raining most of the day.
Yep.
And then this is the final day. So Katie and Joe left the day before, and then we had gotten rid of the golf cart. So then we just used a taxi to get back to the place.
Which is super simple.
Yeah. Very nice.
I would definitely advise getting a golf cart, though.
Yeah. Yep. To get around, have the golf cart, but don't...
Unless you're in the main part of town.
Yeah.
But if you're outside the downtown, get a golf cart.
Yep. So then we did the shy of 4 hours back to MSP.
Which plane rides, I mean, honestly, very, very easy trip.
Yeah, very quick.
Like if you're looking for a quick trip getaway, I think anything shy of 6 hours is a pretty decent trip. I know that's not the same for most people. But 3-4 hours I think is fine. That was a great face. And then the drive back, but yeah, I thought overall, I mean, wouldn't do it probably in the summer again, but still a really cool area I think to visit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we still got it on our list to see some whale sharks.
Some whale sharks for sure. Yep.
So I'll have all the information up on our website and the itinerary listed.
And remember, Silly Gooses only.